founder and CEO of Bizink, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in a second. But yeah, so what we're going to be talking about today is email marketing. So first, I'm going to have a look at why email marketing is so effective. We're going to have a look at why most firms' email newsletter is pretty much worthless. Um, I think most firms do run an email newsletter, and that is where their email marketing kind of begins and ends. Um, but um, um, but I don't think a lot of them do a lot for anybody. Then I'm going to have a look at three types of email marketing that you can use in your firm right away. Three things that are really going to work for you. And first, I'm just going to have a look at, why is email marketing so effective? And the first thing really is the sheer numbers of people using email marketing. Um, there are 4.1 billion email accounts in existence. So we were talking about social media in the webinar last week. Facebook has 1.7 billion users, LinkedIn 380, Twitter just over 300 million. So still some huge numbers, but if you put those together, it's only just over half of the amount of email accounts that there are in existence. So that in itself is a reason to use email marketing. It's just the huge amount of people using email. The second thing is the return on investment. Obviously, if time and budget is limited, and I think it is for every single accounting firm, that bookkeeping firm that we've worked with, it is very limited usually, then you have to do the things that give you the most bang for your buck. And email gives an incredible return for you. $38 for every $1 spent, and that's the Direct Marketing Association did this, put these stats together. Now, if you compare that to search engine marketing, it's $22. Social, just under $13. So none of those things, the other things, are bad. But if we're saying that we've got a limited budget, then we've got to do the things that are most effective first. And email certainly gives you the highest return on investment. And we're talking about here about online marketing. Now, another reason I think email is so important is I think it's the glue of the internet. And what I mean by that is there's a few different things. First of all, it tends to be the unique identifier online. So what I mean by that is, think about when you register for anything really. Register for Facebook, you need an email address. Make a purchase on an e-commerce website, you're going to need an email address. Email address is that thing that no matter what all these new technologies come out, like Twitter or Snapchat, you always sign up with an email address. So that's really important. So pretty much everyone's got an email address, and that, especially in terms of business, and people are using it all the time. It's essential for business to business communication. The phone, letter writing has, for a lot of industries, has become very much secondary to email communication. Some of your clients will be using social media. I'm pretty much going to say all of them are going to be using email. So that makes it really important as well. And also it's personal. What you can do with email is speak to individuals, not en masse. So, if you take out an advert, it's very kind of mass advertising. If you do Google AdWords, it's very impersonal. Email marketing, you can actually target people individually if you want, or certainly small groups of people, like you're targeting them individually. So that's really important as well. Is that it's a personal medium if done well. So hopefully, some of these stats would show you that email is really, really an important form of online marketing that you should be using, both through the sheer numbers, 4.1 billion email accounts, the fact that it's such an essential part of the internet, particularly in terms of business to business communications. And finally, that it's personal. It's a very good medium for communicating with people. And as accountants and bookkeepers, you're in the relationships business, so that type of personal communication really matters. So, I would guess that many of you are using or are sending an email newsletter already. These are some of the common issues I see with email newsletters. The first is, does it pass these things? So is it mobile friendly? If it's not mobile friendly, then that means that over half, I mean, at least half the people who read it are just going to put it in the bin, because now phones, iPhones, Android have become probably the primary email device. Certainly, some people would use it to do all their emailing. If even if they don't answer directly from their phone, they'll read things on their phone and then deal with it when they get back to the office. So if your email isn't mobile friendly, it isn't going to get read. So these old school kind of PDF or Word newsletters that often get sent out by firms, they're just going to go straight into the bin because they look horrible on email on mobile. Second thing you need to ask yourself is your email, is your newsletter actually useful, or are you just sending out kind of fairly bland and generic content, particularly if that's compliance content, which we all know that business owners don't really read. So you've got to ask yourself, have your clients ever come to you and said, we really enjoy getting your newsletter, thanks for sending that, or do you kind of know that it just doesn't get read? If that's the case, then you shouldn't really be sending it. Is it targeted? So it may be that all your clients are the same. I'm going to say for most firms that isn't the case. So if they're not all the same, then you don't necessarily want to send them all the same information. An obvious example would be if you had personal clients that you're doing kind of maybe, or you could be doing like wealth management for them. They've got very different needs to your business clients. So, are you targeting the information at the right parts of your client base? And the final thing, does it sell? I would say that your newsletter isn't directly a direct sales tool. It's actually a retention tool, is a big part of what it does. But you should look at it as a piece of marketing that can bring you new business, because essentially, the best source of new business is always existing clients. Obviously, the cost of acquisition is quite high. So if you can sell further services or products into existing clients, then that's ideal. And an email newsletter is the perfect place to do that. So have a look at those things and think about, does your email newsletter do them? If not, then you're probably going to want to make some changes. And that's not to say, so some people, I remember reading a quite a well-known commentator to the profession saying that email newsletter was dead and that social media had killed that off. I couldn't disagree with that more. It's certainly not dead. You've just got to do it in the right way. So kind of a bit of a naff title, but Firm Newsletter 2.0. These are the things that I think you need to do if you're going to have a successful newsletter. And what I'm going to be showing you today really is three main ways you can use email marketing. The first one is a firm newsletter, and then we're going to move on to drip marketing and email blasts, and I'll explain a little bit more about those as we get to them. But this is something I think is really important to send a newsletter, and these are the components of a good newsletter. The first thing you're trying to do with it is demonstrate value to ongoing value to clients. So obviously the cost of getting clients is really expensive, and having a high churn rate is disastrous for any accounting or bookkeeping firm. So I'm not going to say that sending a newsletter is going to be the key to keeping all your clients, but it's certainly a piece in that jigsaw. One of the common complaints that businesses have about accountants and bookkeepers is we never hear from them. We get a bill at the end of the year, and that's it. Now, if you can be sending useful information on a monthly basis, say, then that definitely creates a positive impression, and done well, it can be a real factor of why people stay with you. Um, Going back to my point there about sort of targeting the right people, we shouldn't be talking about newsletter. It could be different newsletters. If all your clients are the same, you might be able to send one newsletter. If you've got a very specialized or niche firm, that might be the case. Otherwise, what you're going to want to do is segment your database and send each segment relevant content. So, I think you can imagine if you've got tax clients, business clients, different types of clients that you might have, you might split that up and send them different information. In terms of how often you send it, I would say send it monthly. I think quarterly is not often enough, and I think more than monthly can work, but you'll have to have very good content to be able to do that. So I think if you're a very good writer, if you've got very good content, then potentially you can go beyond monthly, but I don't think that's not going to be the majority of firms. And what you've got to be careful of always doing is trying to send the same time each month. The regularity aspect of it is important. So try and stick to that. In terms of what day of the week, we find Tuesdays are a good day to send and keep it within work hours. As you'll see later, you can get a lot of reporting from email marketing. So you can do some experimenting there, and try it on different days. But yeah, we tend to get a poor response on a Monday or a Friday. We don't send on weekends. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are pretty good. Tuesdays tend to work best for us. It could be different for your firm. And the final thing is promoting yourself. The top point is to demonstrate ongoing value, and you're going to do that with useful content. But there's still this opportunity to promote other services, other things that you're doing, because obviously existing clients are going to be more receptive to those. So I think that is a big missed opportunity in lots of firms' newsletters, is that they put a lot of focus on growing their number of clients when actually they could be selling services into their existing base, and that could be more profitable for them. So in practice, you're going to need to use the right tool for the job. And funnily enough, I was talking to a firm in Canada just this morning, and they were sending their email newsletter through Outlook. So that's a big no-no, right? Like Outlook is something for sending an email one-to-one. It's not a tool for doing newsletters in any way. You need some proper email marketing software. Excuse me. And some really good options there. MailChimp and Constant Contact are some really popular options. Bizink has got some email marketing software that we can help you with. But basically what you need is some proper email marketing software where you can manage lists, manage unsubscribes. It integrates with your site so that when somebody signs up, they're pushed directly into the software, and it creates mobile-friendly newsletters. In terms of the content, you'll want to drive that from your website. Hopefully, if you've been coming to a few of these webinars, you'll see how they're starting to fit together. So in the second webinar, we talked about content marketing, and this is really where you would repurpose some content. So what we tend to recommend to clients is focus on creating great content on your blog, and then that drives your email newsletter. So instead of having to rewrite a newsletter every time, you can just use that content that's on your blog, pull that into your newsletter, and you can even automate that. That's something that we can we can do for you at Bizink is actually automate that directly from your blog. But even if you were just copy and pasting it, you're not rewriting the thing twice. Put that into your email and send that off. Two advantages there. One is it saves time, and two, you're pulling people back to your website. The inbox isn't a transactional place. People aren't going to engage with you in their inbox, but get them onto your website, and then there's other things, conversion things that can happen, and get them talking to you. And report and refine. One of the things I love about email is it gives you really good stats. So you can see who's opened your emails, you can see who's clicked the links. Those stats aren't 100% accurate. Just that's across every platform. There's a kind of technical reason why you can get false positives, or you just can't exactly say what the open rate is, but you can definitely see trends. So it might be out by a percent or two, but you can see those trends over time and how that works. And that does really help you refine things like the content, what day you send it on. So you can really use data-driven marketing rather than just kind of hitting and hope. So hopefully that shows you some of the aspects of a firm newsletter. I still think it's a really valuable tool. It's important to talk to your existing clients, and it's a great way to do it through an email. That's not to say you just have to be limited to that. You should be talking to them on social. There's other ways you can do that, but I think an email is, to me, a no-brainer that you get out and talk to your clients. And just think of any of the big brands that you work with, companies. They all send a newsletter, so it must be working. So the next thing that I wanted to have a look at is drip marketing. So before we get into what it is, I wanted to show you some results from one of Bizink's clients who's based in Perth in Australia. They get 16 qualified website leads every month. 50% of those convert to clients, and those clients are worth $4,000 annually. So I think pretty much everyone listening is pretty interested in getting results like that. And if you do, then you're going to need to have a serious look at drip marketing, because that's the exact way that this firm uses to get that great result. So let's have a look what it is. So drip marketing is, well, what I've put there is a series of pre-written emails sent over time. Now, I guess drip marketing doesn't have to be strictly emails. You could do it in other ways, I guess, but realistically, 99% of the time, that's the way it's done. And normally the way those emails start being sent is with the recipient's explicit permission. So, example, we'll get into in a bit more detail, but someone comes to your website and they sign up for something, and you start sending them these pre-written emails. And that can be over like a week, a month, a year. There's no time limit on that. So why does it work? You can go away, put drip marketing into Google, and you'll see endless information on why it works. But particularly, I'll tell you why it works for accounting and bookkeeping websites. The first reason is there's a really low conversion rate for accountants and bookkeepers on their sites. That is something that is you can improve a little bit by improving, buttons on your site, conversion rate. There's a few tweaks you can do, but essentially the reason for that is that people are generally in evaluation mode when they visit your site. They've either been referred there or they've come through some other marketing channel. And because it's not like, buying it's not like buying a book on Amazon.com. It's not some impulse purchase. The conversion rate is quite low. People visit, they might like what they see, and then they go away, and then they forget about you. Now, what you can do with drip marketing is we're trying to grab their email address and then keep talking to them when they leave your site. So that's the first reason why it's really, really important, is it improves your conversion rate. Because while people might not be ready to give you a call or engage you when they visit, if you give them something valuable, and we'll see what that kind of stuff is in just a second, then you start a relationship with them, and then you'll get that higher conversion rate down the track. So what it's doing in essence is turning traffic into leads. You're giving away something valuable, and you're getting a lead in return. And what it also does is it nurtures your leads. That's the really important part as well, is that someone signs up for, let's say it's a course on your website, and not only have you got a lead, but because you've got this drip, drip, drip of marketing happening, you're actually nurturing that person. And that kind of goes back to point one, the conversion rate thing, is that there's a kind of phrase in sales: people buy when they want to, not when you want them to. There's always that temptation where we send out a campaign because we want to make some money or whatever, and if people aren't ready, they're not going to buy. Just because you've sent your campaign out and you want to hit your targets or whatever, that doesn't mean they're going to buy. What drip marketing does, it keeps people in the loop. It keeps you top of mind until they become ready to buy. And then, particularly if they're evaluating, to change accountants or bookkeepers, they're going to choose the people who are top of mind, not necessarily even the people who are best or even the best website they visited. It's the people who are going to be top of mind, who normally get picked. And the final thing is what it's doing is building a targeted list. And in a way, that's the most important function of your website. But beyond the fact that people who get referred to you will come and check you out, that's a really important function of your site. After that, you really want to be building a list from your site. So every month you've got this database of leads that's growing, and doing that with drip marketing is ideal. So what I thought I'd do at this point is, rather than sort of just keep talking around this in an abstract sense, is actually jump online and show you how it works on a real website. I'm just going to open up my browser here. So this is Bizink's demo website. So this is just like a fake accounting firm, and what we've got here is basically the start of some drip marketing. So the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to give something that's valuable enough that people will give you their email address. So having on your website, sign up for our newsletter. Nobody does that, right? You've got to give away something valuable. So free business plan template and course. People are always looking for business plan templates. They're always wanting help with their business plan. So that's quite a powerful call to action, what we would call a lead magnet, so it's really pulling in people as leads. And so add your email address to get our free business plan template and 7-step email course. So I'm just going to put a fake email address in there. In fact, I won't even bother. What happens is someone will sign up through here, and then they get pushed into the email marketing software here. So we can see the list of people in there, and you can see that list growing over time. But the drip marketing part where that comes in is when somebody signs up, what's happening is we start sending them emails. So this is how drip marketing works. So as soon as they sign up, they get this first email here, which we can preview. And as obviously a branded email, it's mobile friendly, but it's got this content in here. So there's the free business plan template, and the course has started. So it's a 7-step business plan course. Step 1, we're trying to establish is there a market for this business idea. And so the content's all there, quite in-depth content. So this is actually a product that we can offer accountants and bookkeepers, where we actually write this drip marketing for you. But you can see the content's engaging, it's interesting. There's some downloads, and we're ready to go. So what happens then is we wait one day and then we send another email. So the course is being sent out over a week. It can be sent out over what schedule you like. But I think with drip marketing, what works really well is to sort of somebody signs up and you do something quite intensively at the start. So, send them a few emails maybe over the course of a week or two, and then maybe increase the frequency, the distance between when you send them an email. So with this one, yeah, step two, we go into, and you can see these other steps happen over the course of a week. So what we're doing here is that lead nurturing thing. We're positioning, the firm as an expert in business planning and in just all matters kind of business. At some point, though, we want to get leads out of this. So after the course is kind of finished over a week, we send an email here asking them if they need more help with the business plan. The contact details are there. And at that point, you're going to get quite a few people will actually get in touch. Obviously, some people won't. The great thing is they're now in your system. You've got them in your database and you can continue to send emails to them. And, you could set up a drip marketing series that went on for, potentially for years. I mean, you may not want to do that, but I'm sure all of you can think of a client that you sort of first made contact with months or years ago, and it took them that long to kind of come on board with you. So having something like this where you maybe even just send one email a month could work really, really well. So jumping back into the presentation, which always jumps back like that. Just go back through the slides. So hopefully you can see how with drip marketing, it's something that can really work with the kind of sales cycle, the kind of marketing funnel that accountants and bookkeepers have, which isn't short. You don't tend to have that kind of like quick turnaround. It usually takes months to kind of convert someone. So drip marketing can really support that and help you increase the conversion rate on your site. Just like that firm in Perth, it took them. They didn't start to see the results from that for sort of, well, probably 6 months before they really saw results. But then in the end, it became, it's become their kind of lead generating machine. And that's one of the great things about drip marketing is that it's automated, right? And that fits in with kind of the lumpy workflow that you guys have where, particularly around tax time, you're going to get really busy. And that just happens to be when a lot of people are looking for an accountant or a bookkeeper. So you don't want to kind of neglect your marketing around then. Having it automated makes a lot of sense. So the final thing that I wanted to have a look at in terms of email marketing techniques that you can use is what I would call email blasts. And what I really mean by this is just promotional emails. So when we're sending a targeted email on just one subject, so whereas your email newsletter it tends to have a few subjects in it, and we send that every month. Email blasts are where you do, really a promotional email irregularly. So it could be that you're running an event, so you're going to want to send out a targeted email blast on that, or perhaps you're going to launch a new wealth management division. So again, that's where you're going to think about an email blast. And something that people get, I suppose, put too much, I don't think you put too much effort into it, but too much emphasis on with email marketing is the content. The list is more important than the message. It's always important to remember that if you've got a really, really good list of really targeted people, and let's say you're running an event and those people want to go to that event, as long as you explain it in coherent English, they're probably gonna sign up. Whereas if you've got like quite a weak list, even if it's a really big list, and you send this, like you spend ages crafting this great email content, it's not going to work that well because the appeal isn't there. So having good lists, particularly if you can segment your lists, so you're not just sending a kind of email out to a massive list. Focus on the people who you think will most respond. That's going to be most effective. So, and that also means that unsubscribes can be good news. If people you don't want people on your list who aren't interested, for lots of different reasons. You basically want to be qualifying leads all the time. You saw with that firm in Perth, they were only getting 16 leads every month, but actually closing around half of them or over half of them. So, better to do that than, be getting a huge amount of leads that you've got to deal with, and, not closing many of them because they're kind of, poorly targeted, poorly qualified. And as long as you're adding to your list, I think unsubscribes are good news as long as there's more coming in the other end. So you obviously want to be adding people into your list all the time. Having a few people unsubscribe is not a bad thing. And I guess another thing in there, which as probably leads on to the second one, is that kind of repetition really, really works. One of the biggest mistakes I see with firms, and it's not just email marketing actually, is kind of not being persistent enough with their marketing. So just like you'll send an email out and you might get a weak response, and you think, oh, we won't do that again because we didn't get a big response. But often it takes 2 and 3 times before somebody reacts to something. There's kind of been a lot written on that kind of stuff. You've got to touch people like 3 or 4, or pick your number a certain amount of times before they react. And certainly email's a bit like that, where you send it out. Sometimes it just flies straight away, but often it will be the case that you've got to actually send something a few times. So don't be scared of repetition. Just send out the same email, because you'll probably be getting like around 20% open rates, e.g., i.e. that 80% of people haven't opened. So just send it again, send the same email, or change the subject slightly, tweak things, but don't be scared about being repetitious, because sometimes it's just that, like we talked about before, people aren't in buying mode, but then you could send it a week later and they are. You just catch them at a better time. So do that, and don't be scared of I guess, like, offending people with emails. People always talk about, oh, we don't want to spam people. Well, yeah, you don't want to annoy people, but the reality is people don't get annoyed. They just either delete your email or ignore it. That's the worst that happens. It's not like it's not proper spam. You're not trying to selling Viagra, or a Nigerian kind of Ponzi scheme or something like that. So don't worry about getting your marketing out there and pushing it a bit. There's another phrase in marketing, which is, he who tells the most sells the most. So the more you're kind of out there and being heard, the more people are going to engage with you. So tying it all together, and I think all this stuff really is linked together. First of all, a good place to start is improving your firm newsletter. There's a lot you can learn about email marketing just doing that. And it's a good place to test out what content works, what day of the week to send things on. Give that a go. The second thing is, I'm going to say, you really need to get some drip marketing. Every firm that we work with that gets good results from their website is using drip marketing. Because of that low conversion rate on your site, you need something else to try and be a lead magnet, and also to nurture your leads, and that is drip marketing. There's no two ways about it. That's the thing that's going to work. And what it will also be doing, it's building that targeted list that isn't going to give you results instantly, but it will down the track. And one of the ways to kind of get those results is sending an email blast. And I've put a number on it there. Send one a quarter. I think you need to be getting out and actually selling what you do at least once a quarter with a promotional email. So, these things all work together. The drip marketing is about building your lists and establishing your credibility, establishing trust. Email blasts help you to get more clients, and the newsletter helps you to retain clients. And, you could even ask for referrals in your newsletter. In fact, you probably should be doing that in every single newsletter. So all of these things work together. And if you get these things going as a system, it can be very, very very automated, and all ties together very nicely. So look, we can help you with this stuff if you want. We can give you email marketing software that can integrate with your website. We can automate a newsletter from your blog content where we write the content, and we can give you some custom content as well, or we can help you with drip marketing. Our team also writes for ANZ, NAB, MYOB, Bank of America. So they really know that kind of small business market, and we can create that email content for you as well. I'm going to stick around now and answer some of your questions about email marketing. Before I get on to that, just wanted to tell you about the event next week. Actually, we've confirmed a special guest who's an ex-Google employee, and that's going to be ideal for the topic that we're focusing on, which is search engine marketing. So Andre, who will send out an email tomorrow and tell you a little bit more about it. He used to work for Google. He's going to be explaining how important is search engine marketing for accountants and bookkeepers, the difference between organic and paid search, and we're going to be looking at some SEO and AdWords basics. So actually how to get started with SEO and paid search, which is AdWords. So that's at the same time, Thursday next week, the 27th. You're already registered because you've registered for this webinar, and we'll send out some information before the event as well. So I'm going to have a look at some of the questions you've been sending through now. As you can see on screen, we're a preferred website supplier to MYOB partners. So if there's any things you want help with in terms of websites, in terms of online marketing, we can do that. And if you're an MYOB partner, we've got some special pricing and exclusive content there as well. So you can check that out at bizinkonline.com/MYOB. So I'm just looking what questions we've got through. So just use the question window to fire those through. So I've got one question from Jane, asking what kind of thing can you promote to your existing database? Well, I think, you can promote anything that you think is useful to them. I mean, obviously it's got to be a service that you can deliver or a product that you have. But I think it's really important that you do that. Basically, it's kind of number one rule of marketing is that it's much easier to sell to an existing client than it is to try and acquire a new client. So, let's say you bring on a new service, and obviously this is going to depend completely on what type of firm you are. Then of course you're going to want to let your existing clients know about that, and email is a really inexpensive way to do that. So highly recommend that. So I can't see any more questions coming in. If you do have questions, feel free to visit our website and you can send them through there. Be more than happy to answer those. we're going to wrap it up here. We'll send out the recording and the slides and the guide to email marketing in the follow-up email, which will be tomorrow. And other than that, I hope to see you at the webinar next week, the search engine one. That's going to be really good that we've got Andre along there from Google, who will give a real insider's opinion on search engine marketing, which I know is something that's a real kind of hot topic for accountants and bookkeepers. So that just leaves me to say thanks for coming along today, and enjoy the rest of your day.